My wife kissed another man at our wedding, so I sent her on our honeymoon, alone without a hotel. Hi everyone, my name is Brad. I'm 24, and I recently caught my wife cheating on me on our wedding day. Now, I won't lie, it was incredibly infuriating, but after the stunt I pulled, I don't mind it as much as I thought I would. Anyway, let me get into it. A year ago, I proposed to Julie during a romantic weekend getaway in Paris. She had always wanted to stand at the top of the Eiffel Tower, so I made her dream come true. When we got to the top, I popped the question. She said yes, and we were both over the moon. We spent the next 12 months planning our dream wedding. Everything was perfect, or so I thought. The day finally arrived. Julie looked stunning in her white gown, and I was the picture of happiness as I stood at the altar, waiting for her to walk down the aisle. You would have never guessed that earlier that day, during the morning festivities, my world had come crashing down. I went to deliver a little pre-wedding gift to Julie, but the girls at the door said she had to run out to her car to get something. So, I decided to go out there and deliver it to her. That's when I saw them. There was my wife-to-be, Julie, kissing my best man, Tom. I couldn't believe that my best friend since elementary school was doing something so malicious behind my back. I was absolutely devastated. I literally could not even comprehend what I was seeing. I just froze on the inside, but I still managed to grab my phone and snap a pic before I turned around and walked straight back to my dressing room. My other groomsmen asked me if I was okay, and I had to tell them I just needed to clear my head and that they should go out and give me some time. I knew I needed to think logically and not let my emotions get the best of me. I wanted to go and punch Tom right in the throat, but I needed to do more than just get back at him and her. So, I decided to wait and make a giant scene during the speeches at the reception. By this time, the limo would be in place, and well, you'll see. For the rest of the day, I pretended that everything was fine. Do you know how freaking unimaginably hard that was? I went through the motions, exchanging vows, taking photos, and even sharing a first dance with Julie. All the while, my heart was breaking and my anger was growing. I wanted to headbutt her right in the nose, instead of giving her our first married kiss. But I played the part I had to. Before the speeches, I took a quick break to visit the bathroom. This allowed me to move around the venue and speak with the manager to obtain the Wi-Fi password. Despite initial resistance, I managed to convince the manager to give me the password by claiming my phone was out of data and that I needed to make a call. With the password in hand, I was able to connect my phone to the TV. The speeches began, and I watched as Julie's friends and family shared heartfelt stories and well wishes. I could hardly contain myself, but I knew I had to wait for my turn. Finally, the moment came. The microphone was handed to me, and I stood up to address the room. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, tapping on my glass with a spoon, I would like to thank you all for coming today to celebrate our special day. But there's something I need to share with you all. With the click of a button, I projected the picture I had taken earlier onto a large flat-screen TV. There was an audible gasp from the crowd as they saw Julie and Tom locked in a passionate embrace. I caught my lovely wife Julie kissing my best man Tom earlier today, I announced loudly over the speaker system. I thought it was only fair that everyone knows the truth about what happened on our wedding day. The room was filled with shocked faces and murmurs of disbelief. Julie's face turned bright red, and she looked as though she might burst into tears. She quickly stood up and ran out of the room, her wedding dress trailing behind her. Tom, clearly embarrassed, tried to slink away, but the groomsmen and I surrounded him, ensuring he couldn't escape the consequences of his actions. I thought my mother was going to kill Tom. After all, he had stayed the night at my house so many times growing up. My mother had cooked him meals, taken him with us on vacations, and he even called her his second mother and referred to her as Mom when he was around my dad. Now my dad is the more verbal one of the two. He was yelling so loudly that the glass windows nearly shattered. Julie's parents were absolutely dumbfounded, their faces filled with complete shock and awe. Her mother had tears streaming down her face. The whole room was thunderous. I knew it would be crazy, but even I was a bit shocked at how animated the room had become. Julie, embarrassed and humiliated, ran out of the room in tears. I felt a mix of satisfaction and sadness, but I knew it was the right thing to do. With the truth now out in the open, I went over to my parents and told them they had to trust me. I shot Tom a look of complete disappointment and anger, and then sprinted out of the reception hall and hopped into the waiting limousine. As we drove away from the venue, I couldn't help but laugh at the absurdity of the situation. My wedding day, the one day that was supposed to be the happiest of my life, had turned into a complete disaster. Julie called me repeatedly, but I ignored her calls for the next 5 hours. Finally, when I answered, she was sobbing and begging for me to take her back. That's when I got a grand idea. I just totally shot from the hip on this one, and I'm so glad my wits hadn't left me. I told Julie I was already in Florida, where we were supposed to go on our honeymoon. I said I went alone because I needed time away. I told her that if she got her plane ticket and came to Florida, I would take her back. Julie, desperate to fix things, agreed. Little did she know that I had no intention of actually meeting her in Florida. Instead, I had a different plan. She went directly to the airport and was flying over in no time. She landed and went straight to the hotel where we were supposed to be staying. She arrived at the hotel and went straight to room 307, just like I told her to. But when she knocked, someone else answered the door. Why? Because I wasn't there. I knew it was cruel, but I couldn't help feeling a sense of justice. Julie started calling me again, and this time, I decided to answer. She was frantic, asking where I was because she couldn't find me at the address I had given her. Instead of coming clean, I decided to play a little game with her. I told her that due to my emotional state, I had made a mistake and accidentally given her the wrong hotel name and address. I gave her the correct name and address, and she quickly grabbed a cab and headed there. She knocked on room 307, and boom, someone else answered again. LOL. I wanted to see how long I could keep this up. I literally sent her on a wild goose chase all over Clearwater, giving her false locations and misleading hints. Each time she arrived at a supposed meeting spot, I'd tell her I had just left and send her off to another location. Julie, desperate to find me and fix our relationship, continued to follow my instructions to the letter. As she traveled from one end of town to the other, I couldn't help but feel a twisted sense of satisfaction. Then, to polish off my entire scheme, I went silent. I totally ghosted her. I didn't answer another call from her and didn't see her again until days later when she finally came back home. So the whole time, while Julie was frantically trying to figure out what to do, I was back home, finally allowing myself to process everything that had happened. I felt a range of emotions: anger, sadness, and even relief. My parents told me I needed to let her know I was not in Clearwater or even in Florida for that matter. I told them no, that she needed to learn her lesson. It might have been them who let the cat out of the bag, but that's fine. Eventually, she would have been calling the authorities, and it could have gotten really out of hand. Anyway, days went by, and Julie eventually made her way back home. She confronted me, demanding an explanation for my actions. I calmly told her that she had no right to question me after what she had done at our wedding. I explained that my actions were a direct result of her betrayal, and that I couldn't trust her anymore. Julie tried to apologize and ask for forgiveness, but it was too late. The damage had been done, and there was no going back. We decided to annul the marriage and go our separate ways. Thankfully, because of the stunt I pulled, annulling the marriage went smoothly since we both wanted out as fast as possible. Word of our disastrous wedding and its aftermath spread quickly, and I received a mix of reactions from friends and family. Some understood and supported my decision, while others thought I had gone too far in my revenge. In the end, I realized that my actions, although they provided some sense of justice, didn't make me feel better. I was still heartbroken and had to rebuild my life, without the person I thought I would spend the rest of my life with. Though I won't lie, it does make a great story to tell. It took me a while to heal, but eventually, I was able to move on. I learned from the experience and became a stronger person because of it. I started focusing on myself and my career, and in time, I even began dating again. As for Julie, I heard through the grapevine that she had moved to another city and was trying to start fresh. I can't say I didn't feel a little satisfaction knowing that she had to deal with the consequences of her actions. So, there you have it, Reddit. That's the story of how my wife kissed another man at our wedding, and how I sent her on our honeymoon alone with no hotel. It may not be a tale of true love and happy endings, but it's a reminder that life is unpredictable, and sometimes the best thing you can do is stand up for yourself and move forward. Thanks for reading. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate the level of his revenge? Did he go too far, or did he not do enough? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. When you subscribe, be sure to click the notification bell. Click here for more Cheating Secrets Podcast.